This is KGW News at Sunrise.
The Washington State University student accused of a quadruple murder in Idaho is back in court today. Coming up this morning, what we expect to happen and a review of the evidence against him.
Also this morning, allegations of animal neglect at Multnomah County's Animal Services Division. We'll hear from former employees who say for years the shelter has failed to properly care for the dogs and the cats that end up there. Plus,
we want to give people a more full set of data and perspectives about our history and our culture.
What is your New Year's resolution? Is it to learn a new language, become healthier? What if you challenged yourself to learn something new about a different culture, different than your own? We'll show you how Travel Oregon and tribes across the state will help you do just that.
I'm super excited about your story. I've lived here since I was 8, and there are nooks and crannies I have never seen in the state. That's good stuff coming up for you on this Thursday. I almost did it. Happy Friday Eve, everybody. How are we looking outside?
You know, the rule of the news is to move things forward. Here you are rolling it back. Hey, I want to let you know, there's nothing stormy about today's weather. No watches, no warnings, no advisories, except for the fact we do have an advisory for potential sneaker waves along the coast. The rain has been solid overnight. You can see we are getting now some drying coming into Newport and Salem. Good morning. The rain has ended for you temporarily. We still have rain falling in Portland. The other part of the story is the mild weather that's coming in with the rain. Right now, 48 degrees. There will be occasional shots of rain continuing to come in today. Won't be steady, but we'll get rain from time to time. 53 at noon. I have us at 54 degrees, nice and mild at 5 p.m. Back to you.
You're going to shoot up children. You're definitely a dangerous man, and you have no business being on the streets.
Our top story this morning, police are searching for the man accused of firing almost 24 bullets through an apartment on East Burnside Tuesday night.
Yeah, those bullets hit an 11-year-old girl and her uncle who were inside. Both of them are out of the hospital and recovering at home this morning.
The uncle tells us 36-year-old Rashad Calbert knocked on the door, then opened fire when he couldn't get in. Court records show Calbert was arrested on domestic violence charges back in November. He's accused of hitting the 11-year-old's mom with a baseball bat, but the charges against him were dismissed.
KGW News spoke with the uncle who was shot in the hand. He didn't want to show his face, though, out of concerns for his safety. But he spoke with us in the hopes that it helps police catch Calbert.
She was freaking out because she'd been hit. And she's like, it burns. She's like, call the cops. And I was trying to call the cops and I couldn't function or use my hand. So she ended up having to call the police.
Portland police are asking anyone with information to give them a call.
Now to the latest in the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. Later this morning, the suspect, Brian Koberger, will have another court appearance. For the latest on the case, Devin Haskins joins us this morning. Devin, walk us through what's going to happen at the hearing.
Yeah, so Brenda, this is what's called a status hearing, more of a procedural style hearing. There's not expected to be any new information revealed today, but lawyers will gather to discuss scheduling and next steps in the case. It's expected to be a rather short hearing. 28-year-old Brian Koberger has been charged with the 4 murders of the 4 University of Idaho students and a burglary charge. At his last court appearance last week, he largely remained silent except to answer the judge's questions about understanding the charges against him. Koberger has not yet entered a plea of guilty or not guilty. That formal process will take place after a grand jury or preliminary hearing, and that should happen within the next week. Then a magistrate judge will determine if the case can move forward to a district court for arraignment and trial. Now, it's possible the prosecutors could file for the death penalty after the suspect's arraignment.
After that date, the prosecutor's office has 60 days to file a formal notice that it intends to seek the death penalty in a case. And it can only seek the death penalty if a variety of factors are met.
All right, so that status hearing is at 8 a.m. today. And if you're a fan of Dateline, NBC will air a 2-hour episode on the Idaho murders tomorrow night. Drew?
All right, Devin, thanks for that update. Our next story this morning involves former employees of Multnomah County Animal Services who accuse the shelter of animal neglect. So they say the problems have existed there for years, but it really got worse when the shelter stopped doing in-person adoptions during the pandemic. They told us when they talked to management about issues like overcrowding, staff shortages, and a lack of support from supervisors, management took action against them.
There were so many of them and so few of us, and so little, support.
I just did not feel comfortable being a part of what I saw as inhumane treatment of animals. The more I questioned it, the more I seemed to be out of favor with management.
In September, Multnomah County Animal Services got a new director. Here's what she said just yesterday about these issues.
I would, like to ask the readers and the viewers to take a leap of faith with me, and in some ways they have no reason to do that.
Meanwhile, new Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega Peterson called for a review of current practices at the shelter to, quote, ensure we get to the root of the problems.
Okay, let's get you caught up on some of this morning's headlines. A man has been sentenced to more than 25 years in prison for a deadly crash in downtown Salem. Enrique Rodriguez Jr. pleaded guilty to 2 counts of manslaughter and other charges after he crashed into a homeless camp last March while driving drunk. 4 people died. 2 others were hospitalized. Prosecutors say Rodriguez's blood alcohol level was nearly 3 times the legal limit. And 3 18-year-old suspects linked to arsons around Mount Tabor will be arraigned this morning. Samuel Perkins is scheduled to be in court at 9:45. Perkins, Malik Harris, and Wayne Chen are accused of setting dozens of fires last summer. They were arrested in September, but a judge dismissed the charges. The DA didn't give many details, only saying the investigation was pending. Then, last month, a grand jury examined evidence which led to 14 new charges, including arson, reckless burning, and possession of a destructive device. The DA's office believes they might be responsible for several other fires in the area. And a 2-mile stretch of Northwest Germantown Road is back open between Skyline Boulevard and Northwest Bridge Avenue. The Portland Bureau of Transportation was doing some preventative landslide work over the last couple days. Crews were clearing rock, soil, and other debris following recent heavy rain.
All right, before we get to Rodney's Thursday forecast, we're going to Eric Patterson's bakery shop this morning. I think this is the second time this week Eric's been involved with some sweet treats. These treats courtesy of Oyatsupan Bakers out there in Beaverton. So Eric is taking a look at their apple pan. Oh. This is a apple butter, poached apples, and breadstick stem treat.
Say that again, please.
Okay, this treat involves apple butter.
Yes.
Poached apples.
Yum.
And a breadstick stem.
And matcha.
Matcha.
I love matcha.
That matcha's great.
Green tea.
I have that right this morning, actually.
Is that what
in
you're
my cup?
drinking?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I should point out, this is a newer item at the bakery. It's also a limited item at the bakery, so you better check it out today, perhaps, if you want to get your hands on that. Oyatsupan opened up back in 2016. We'll have more from there with Mr. Eric Patterson behind the camera coming up later this morning.
It really is like art, the way they craft everything.
Yeah, I love it.
Is he going to bring us back treats?
Oh, I don't know. I can't. Let me get into his head.
Let's make the call out.
In fact, he is.
You got to start
Brenda.
early.
In fact, he is.
I'll just call the man. Come on.
Good point.
All right, let's get you going with your weather forecast. One of the stories nationally is the fact that California gets a break from the rain. If you go back a couple days especially, you see this elongated band of clouds. This was kind of lined up perpendicular to the west coast, and it was coming in straight west to east into California. Now it's swung around. It's moving south to north. There are some showers still lingering in Northern California, but they'll be drying out, and the rain is moving into southern Oregon up into our area. Now, not the rain amounts that California had, and we have 0 watches, warnings, advisories today, except for an advisory for sneaker waves along the Oregon coast. For us, this is just a surge of rain coming in with warmer weather. And we are seeing our first break after steady rain last night. So far, we've picked up about a half of an inch of rain here in downtown Portland. We'll get maybe another quarter of an inch during the day today. You can see a break in Salem, McMinnville. You're starting to dry out a little bit, and this is all pushing up to the north. So there's some drying coming into Portland. There's Futurecast at 8:30. But there's more rain that will continue to come in. So I guess the point there is there's not going to be just steady rain every single minute of the day. There will be some dry breaks, which is what Futurecast shows. And here's another surge of moisture perhaps coming in around 11 o'clock this morning. This is interesting. If you look at this carefully, the models, including tomorrow, show more rain to the west side of I-5 and far less to the east. Now, the driving low behind all this is still a ways out in the Pacific. It will get closer during the PM hours of Friday, and maybe at that point we'd have rain amounts pick up into the Cascades as well. It is rain over the passes this morning as we expected. Snow levels today will go as high as 7,000 feet. Here are your early morning numbers, and they are pretty mild. 47 Eugene, 46 Salem, 48 Portland, 47 Kelso, 43 over in Bend today, 45 out in Dalles. Those are current temperatures. Here are the forecast highs for the valley. Salem, 57 degrees. 30-hour rain totals will call it up to about 3/4 of an inch. We're on target to hit that mark. I mentioned so far we picked up about a 1/2 of an inch of rain in Portland anyway. Longview 54. We do have east gusts to 30-35 this morning near the gorge. Those will be calming down to about 20-25 mile per hour peak gusts this afternoon. 7-day forecast. Once we get through today into tomorrow, the rest of the time it's just kind of showery weather or rain at times, if you will, but nothing big all the way through the Monday holiday. And then we have our next push of steady rain coming in. It looks like Tuesday evening into Wednesday, and that's your forecast.
Okay, thanks, Rod. So people are making all sorts of different New Year's resolutions, but what about something a little different? Maybe a commitment to seeing more of Oregon. How about Travel Oregon and tribes across the state making it easier for you to do just that? We'll have that story coming up.